The question we should be asking is always, am I a risk to my neighbors, colleagues, family members, and do I need to isolate?
Quebecers who have tested positive for COVID-19 but are double vaccinated and are asymptomatic or whose symptoms have improved will no longer have to self-isolate in their homes for 10 days. They will be able to step out of isolation after 5 days instead, after Quebec Public Health changed the recommendation on Tuesday, along with new strategy to limit PCR testing for high-risk groups only.
It will be helpful, certainly for the people, for the employees and for the employers, because actually, we face up a very, very grave labor shortage crisis. And if it's possible to reduce the delay outside of the labor force, it would be helpful.
Yes, society should function. No, not at the expense of the health of individuals and their families.
And you're putting them into the public sector where they may risk infecting other people. And then you may actually create waves, if you will, of people who are going to be on shortened isolation. And that may end up actually backfiring in terms of addressing the shortage of personnel.
I can give you the real life example of my own daughter who was asymptomatic, and 7 days after contact, so no symptoms, but 7 days after contact, she had 2 positive rapid tests at home. So if she would have gone back to either school or to family meetings, she would have most likely contaminated friends and family.
The government also announcing PCR tests will no longer be available for the general public due to limited global supply. They will be prioritized for those in high-risk settings like healthcare workers, hospitalized patients, people experiencing homelessness, Indigenous communities, and more.
There's not a lack of options. There's no options. If you are not in the selected criteria to get a PCR test, in other words, that's most of the general public, and you can't get access to a rapid antigen test, which is most of the general public, you're saying that most of the general public has no way to test whether they have symptoms that are due to COVID or whether they are contagious with COVID.
Well, we need to have access to rapid tests, and we need it to be able to protect our workers, our employees, but also to protect the population. And if we have access to rapid tests, it will be helpful for everybody.
Quebec asking individuals who have symptoms of COVID-19 to take a rapid test, and if they do not have access to it, they should simply self-isolate.
But if you don't have symptoms and you don't isolate and you're infectious, then you're actually a greater risk to society.
I'm not sure how healthcare systems, hospitals, large ones, small ones, or wherever you may be, are supposed to plan for the healthcare that they're supposed to provide in the absence of knowing what's coming.
In Montreal, Felisha Adam, City News.